do realize none of those pages are actually a page.
They are for me. I don't know how that.
Yeah, they are for me too. They're not for me.
He's got a computer.
What is an actual page? Oh, they're multiple pages. Oh, yeah.
It's a framework. Case.
This cannot go for this argument or impact your framework, which means on your own and the way which means on your office applies gave us city cannot go for this argument is an independent voting issue that is an independent voting issue, not the Cato flow. None of these arguments apply. They've considered the framework throughout the debate. It's a question of who saves lives. One of these arguments were first dropped by the 2AC where he says he's spotting us these arguments, and also repeated by the 1 era, which means that they are not allowed to make a new argument that is a question of exclusion or a question of discursive violence as to how we deny the value to life of Indian natives, etc. It's a question of valuing lives, especially when you have dropped our shell evidence, which indicates that if you place other values, in the context of this debate, other native lives above our impacted privileges everyone on the planet, and that allows for the destruction of violence. It allows us to say that it is okay to kill 5 million people when it means that we can preserve native reservations and we can test on the Indian lands. We win that this argument is bad. It means in the context of this debate, these arguments to go away. Second is that you have dropped this throughout the debate. It is not a question of value to life, etc. You say it's not a question of value to life, and these are quotes from the 1 ER that it is a question of the end point of life. Yes, it is fine. We cannot predict your argument here that this is a question of discursive violence because you have conceded throughout the debate that it is a question not of the value of life, but a question of securing the value of life and then allowing people to assign the value to life themselves. These are arguments made in the 1 and C. These were also considered in 2 and C. I will re-extend them here. They have not answered that they have no slippery slope. They have no link evidence as to how the state could assign these values to life, etc. These arguments cannot be often in a world in which we win. The plan would lead to more violence, would also turn this argument because in a world in which there is a nuclear war and there are attacks, it would lead to massive violence, and that would lead to violence against other people. Also, they have not answered no link arguments. First, our Alexander evidence does not say the words nuclear war. This indicates that the terrorists have nuclear weapons and suggests a probability that they would attack us with our Eastbrook evidence indicates the U.S. would retaliate throughout the Middle East. It does not indicate there would be nuclear war. You have not answered our Wardy evidence. This is also dropped that our mission is not exclusion. No discursive act can include everything. It doesn't mean we reject the concerns of natives, but our discursive act should be read in many ways to interpret things. Given that argument, we can say that yes, we can recognize there's violence against natives, but we should also recognize we need to fucking kill terrorists. Now the case debate today have conceded all these arguments. We are making a strategic choice to go for the case impact turns through their epistemology based on the fact that they have 1 AR strategically and undercovers and drops our arguments. You should perfect the 2 AR against new 2 AR arguments here because it destroys our ability to debate. We cannot predict new arguments and it destroys the ability to debate. That was the impact on the fairness flow. Now they've conceded our Sandman and Leonard evidence that their call for violence strategy relies on a basis that we are attacking in our own name, i.e. the logic of fear and the logic that and the logic that we need to respond to the other. Our evidence indicates that fear is good because it minimizes the effect of disaster and prevents catastrophic violence. It's the only way to prevent terrorism. This is the only evidence that speaks in the context of this question. Our evidence is that we need to respond to acts of terrorism in order to secure life, etc. They've also not answered our Greenspan evidence that indicates that this fear is critical because it is used as motivation to help others and avoid a short-term conflict impact. And given that you've considered the framework as maximizing these lives, our time frame distinction is especially important in this question. Our evidence indicates it mobilizes people for structural change and peace. Our Burroughs evidence also indicates that fear of death is essentially motivating the impulse to live life fully, i.e. the notion that we can attack others is necessary so we can live our lives and they cannot attack us in the context of this. They can see our Roberts evidence that if we suppress this inevitable fear, it makes us more likely to act upon them because it means that if we're suppressing it, our evidence indicates that psychoanalysis means that we would act on it more. These are dropped arguments, which means that our call for violence is good. The second important argument here is that all their arguments about why a strategy of paranoia, etc. is bad are reasons why it would lead us to attack other nations and kill terrorists. We are impact turning that claim, which means you have no external link to this argument. You have conceded that this is the best strategy first. You concede you have to pour evidence because we should believe Osama bin Laden when he says that he's going to kill Americans. Our evidence says that this is the only standard for validating the debate. Our Elstone evidence also indicates that contrary to the way that Americans drop bombs on other countries, our evidence indicates that we understand that these civilian casualties should be avoided, whereas Osama bin Laden does not understand that, and that they shout in the streets when we kill Americans. Our evidence indicates that they will want to kill you, your family, your friends, your debate team as well, which means that we should not send terrorists flowers, we should send them bombs, and this is an impact turn to the entirety of their fucking argument. Just consider Elstone 2003 argument. Our evidence indicates that the civilian shoulder distinction is a basic norm in U.S. military training that does not exist within terrorists. Which this argument is true. They say that there's no risk of transition war for these arguments. However, we are an impact turn to your methodology. You have considered our Eastbrook evidence. We should allow us to fight a war on terrorism now because in a world of a terrorist attack, attack as a result of abandoning the epistemology of Kieran, that there would be a worse terrorist attack. Our East Group evidence says the U.S. would attack the Middle East and kill 100 million Muslims, which means that war on terrorism is then worse in the long term. You should fight a good war now to prevent a worse war later. That is a distinction they have not answered throughout the debate. Also, they say images would keep us off hegemony. How we don't need to win this argument. All we need to win is that your images would lead to the mobilization to get rid of the war. We're impact turning that claim. Second is that you have not answered our images, besides the fact that you said they were not legitimate. Our evidence, our images were images of people suffering and dying. We're able to access your valid arguments and rule, and which we have proven that the images we've shown of terrorists running planes into buildings, we have recognized that the people and the Americans that died are people that should not have died in these types of wars. They say that they are an ethic of life. Yes, you're an ethic of life. It means you can't go for your Cato argument because the question of securing life is not answered. The shell evidence throughout the debate that indicates that is necessary. They have conceded the war on terrorism is effective. Extensive lines of evidence are also they conceded a dissent to moving away from the security dilemma. They have an answer on Dorn evidence that says they increase the risk of war because if we move away from security, and pretty much at least in more comics, their evidence says that you purely deterrence how that they should not be allowed to answer this argument. He was dropped. War on terrorism is good. Our Elston evidence indicates that the war in Afghanistan was good because the Taliban killed 1 in every 4 children before the age of 5, and the Taliban had 1 million refugees, and 6 million Afghanistan, the quarter of the population couldn't find food. That war was good according to our evidence. Our Schwartz evidence says that even if civilian casualties happen, that is necessary because that you should held responsible Saddam Hussein for civilian casualties because our evidence indicates that he is the person who indicted that aggression. Our Turnus evidence indicates these body counts are good because we actually give value to people when we talk about how many people die, etc. There is no risk of offense. Our Financial Times evidence indicating that the current modernism does not cause violence because our evidence indicates says that wars become less bloody. And our Peters evidence indicating that we need to fight the terrorists because they will want to kill us. This is all supported also by our Epstein evidence indicating that we need to crush the terrorists. They would prevent our ability to do that because they would say we need to displace the idea that we need to take action. They have no other arguments. The one AR is very shallow on the entirety of these arguments. We have answered specific lines of arguments. We impact calculus to 2AR should not be allowed to make new arguments. Protect the 2 and R.